Hello, 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 my beautiful people. Welcome back to another episode of The Auntie Lynette Show, brought to you by a WWB production, where we showcase some of Toronto's hottest visual and musical artists. I am your host, LWB. Today, you can find copies of your podcasts on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, and Spreaker.com. It gives me superb pleasure, folks, to introduce you to Stacey MacNevin, who draws from a unique and diverse personal history. She is an experimental artist and expressionist who refuses to be pigeon-holed into any category. As a visual artist, writer, expressionist, and live painter, she works with whatever materials she can, in symbiosis with the time, place, and people surrounding her. Her work is about distilling the complex and varied emotive responses we have to our environments, culture, nature, and other people of color, and experiences. For Stacey, the process of creating and living through that process is the practice of art itself. So welcome, 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 Stacey. How are you today? It gives me great pleasure to introduce you to our audience. How you doing? How you feeling?
Doing well. I'm really happy to be here.
We are so lucky to have you. We are so very lucky to have you. I have to tell everybody out there that Stacey is our first guest. So big ups to her being here and dealing with some technical difficulties that we had at the show. But we're going to dive right in, folks. And we're going to ask Stacey how her dog Pablo influences her art, if at all, because, you know, it's all about family, friendship, and love here at the show. So tell us, Stacey.
Well, yes, Pablo. Well, first of all, thank you. It's nice to be somebody's first again. Secondly, I think this is a wonderful journey for you, Lynette, and I'm so happy to be here to chat with you. With respect to Pablo, I'd like to say he's inspirational, but really his inspiration comes in what kind of trouble he causes and where that kind of leads my attention, which is great.
That is amazing. Well, I have to tell you, having just met you in person, but knowing you on IG, you have a great fashion sense and savvy. You really do. I love your style. I see your art expressing itself in your materials. So I wanted to ask you about that. Does art inspire your clothing at all, or is it the other way around? Have you ever thought about that? Because I'm really drawn to your work, and I'm so glad to be introducing you to everybody.
I'm humbled by that, and thank you.
Yes.
I don't know. I think it's from two parts. I have thought a little bit about that. The expression, like, of the out, the exterior, whether it's through fashion, through hair, through some people use makeup. I am an abstract artist, I will say. I do my makeup accordingly. So makeup is not for me, but however you choose to express yourself sort of outwardly is such an important part of who you are in terms of your expression. Now, I come from two lines of extremely skilled and creative seamstresses. So both on my Trinidadian side and also on my German Mennonite side. They both fashioned clothes for themselves from what they had, which is, if you think about that, is amazing.
Yeah.
My Trinidadian grandmother used to be able to look at you and be able, without a pattern, to create clothes for your body type, for everything. My Oma was an accomplished crocheter, knitter, also a seamstress, and would fashion clothes from, while she was in refugee camps, would fashion clothes from different scraps of fabric. So I think I draw from my sort of the maternal ancestral line that really, even without a lot of means, really used what they had to express themselves.
I really love that response because it really shows and it resonates in everything that you do. So are you an impromptu painter, or do you find that you plan your artistic pieces?
Well, truthfully, I don't want to speak for other creatives, but before I go to bed every night, when I'm in that sort of limbic state, I see the world in a very visual way. Most visual artists feel the same, I'm sure.
Right.
But my creativity comes in terms of color. That's why I like distilling things down to color. I'm not too interested in forms and shapes. I really like to be fluid and physical and gestural about it. And I find right in that limbic state before I go to sleep, there are thousands of images that are just coming through.
Wow.
In color. Like I feel like, the way that you process, everybody processes information different. And when you're in that sort of transitional space between sleep and wake of consciousness, I think it's a lot of time we allow for that processing to occur. And in that state, I just get thousands of images. And I used to be, truthfully, extremely stressed out about it. Like, oh, I love this image, and get really attached to some of the things that I saw and experienced and try to hold on to it. I realized when I tried to find a way to capture that in that point in time, I lost some of the fluidity. So what I chose to do is to let it all sort of seep into my consciousness. And then when I approach the studio the next time, it may not look exactly the same, but whatever is left is sort of meant to come out.
I really love that. That's remarkable. And I'm really glad you brought up your gallery because it's a great place of community, I've noticed.
Yeah, thank you.
And I wondered how you are inspired by other artists around you, because I see that you've created this amazing space for you all.
Thank you.
So tell us about that.
Esperanto was a language. Esperanto, I won't bore you with all the details, but it's an auxiliary language that was kind of created by a man named Zamenhof. And what he wanted to do was to give people a secondary auxiliary language by which to speak to one another. So
amazing.
You would have English, you would have French, you would have, Swahili, whatever it was, but you could come together and speak this language. And I felt the same with sort of the art community, that there's certain, silos and communities. And I wanted to create another space, like a new language of art where we could forge new conversations in community. And there isn't anything like that. And I came to art after a different sort of university education, a different career. And, I'm self-taught. So I have this other sort of journey where my background is in communication. So I'm able to sort of communicate and sort of bridge those gaps between artists and those who love art. And I created this space to have those conversations where I could bring more people together.
I absolutely love that. Bravo to you on that.
Thank you.
Talk a little bit, because you have quite the inspirational quote and poetic message behind a lot of your pieces. So I wondered if you could talk a little bit about how art relates to social change, movement, and how your work impacts a society, particularly because we're here in the GTA.
Yeah.
We just want to ask you, how can your work affect societal issues?
Do you know, it's interesting. That's such a great question, Lynette. I've been thinking and reflecting on it a lot, because I think that so many artists wonder in these turbulent times, and when social unrest and things seem so up in the air, what do I have to offer? And what I always say, and I guess I would include myself in this, but what I have to say is that art is sort of like the conduit of what's going on. So it takes in information, but it also processes it and gives it back. And so what us as artists are doing is we are providing hope, providing meaning, but also providing a place of where emotions and feelings and ideas can sit. And when those things are expressed and come out, that is when there is social change and justice, because
we have an anxious guest.
Yeah.
So continue, please.
Yeah. So I think that's the time that, hey, the doorbell's great. It's like ringing in on what is the now? It's coming in.
I love that.
But I think that's the important part of art. Art tells us what we need to be focusing on. It provides the anchor by which to start the conversation. And, we've all heard of that one piece of music.
Yes.
That one artwork, the one movie.
Oh, yes.
That carried you through or helped you see things in a new way. And that is the power of art. That is the power to give people new ways of thinking, to give people new ways of discussing things. And I think that's what's important for all artists, myself included.
Absolutely.
I happen to do things in a very colorful visual way.
Yes.
But other people do art in different ways, and it's all essential right now. Like right now, we need everybody's art.
No, absolutely.
Like
you and I talked.
Up.
No, you're absolutely right.
Powers up, let's go.
You are right, and it is influential. And as you and I spoke before you sat down, we're in the middle of TIFF. I saw Viola Davis's The Woman King, and I can't tell you how in all of my decades on this planet, you and the audiences will have never seen anything like this. And I knew as an audience member, to your point, that it's influential and transformational and impactful in a way that we've never seen. All right. So continuing on to the conversation, I'm just wondering, because you talked about process, you talked about your impact on community and society at large and how art influences us. But I wonder how you're inspired, the people that inspire you.
Everything inspires.
Because you talked about your dreams and color, and it's all around you. I mean, I'm so blessed to know you because I can feel that from you. But I wonder, outside of the art, what inspires you to get up every day?
Do you know what? I am stupidly, unabashedly, inexplicably hopeful. I think I look at the natural world and I see the regeneration that occurs continually, despite destruction, despite this sort of seeming randomness, despite brutality, and there is a rhythm. And there's a joy in that. And when you focus your energies on understanding our interconnectedness, it's easier without delving into the real and true issues that are pervading our lives right now and making things feel really dark. I always think of the fact that when things change, the caterpillar and the butterfly metaphor, but anything in nature, there's always this like dark, destructive time. And then there's this great reimagining, the awakening of spring after the dark of winter, the death and the regeneration in the earth. And once you focus on that, what waking up becomes like a joy. I'm also like with every, I'm not, by any means older, but I think every day that you kind of go by and you realize, wow, I get to do this again.
I get to do this again. Bless your heart. Yeah. The butterfly is my absolute favorite symbolic creature because of everything you just said.
It gets down to liquid.
Absolutely.
Like it's amazing. It gets down to liquid. And then through that comes this gigantic, beautiful creature.
Yes. And if we only looked at life that way, we'd be better off. So if you could switch bodies with another artist, who would it be and why? Dead or alive? Come on, I got to throw the fun inside.
Wow.
Especially when we get deep about the world in which we're living in. I got to throw something fun in there.
I'm trying to think of whose body I would like to get into. Who had the most fun? Because
have the most fun?
Well, because you think about it, like, I love Frida Kahlo.
Yeah, I was thinking
you know
of
what
her.
I mean? I love, but her body was, betrayed her in so many different ways.
She was betrayed by,
and she had so much, pain. And so I'm like, okay, it would probably be male.
Okay, I like
probably
that.
Be someone who got around quite a bit.
Yes.
Maybe like Lord Byron or something.
Nice. That doesn't surprise me because to our audience, because this is not a PG podcast, earlier, just to let you all know, when Stacey and myself and my awesome assistant, Nicole, were trying to put up our poster, it wasn't quite fitting. And so Stacey was like, hey, that sounds familiar. So I guess, wink, wink out there, folks. You know what I'm talking about.
When you talk with me, it'll always delve there. I can't.
She's like, this sounds familiar. They're always telling me that they don't know where to find it. Give me a break.
Body, adolescent mind. That's me. Yep.
All right. So I'm a firm believer bringing it back that music and art add years to one's life, especially when you just spoke about being here another day and being a mature, evolved woman. Like, what is your opinion on the impact that music and art have on our souls and our health? Because that's where you were going.
Wow. What a great question. So, you know what I tell people in the gallery is this.
Yes.
Okay, so if you'll indulge me for a second.
Of course.
So I tell them, you know what, they'll say, oh, it's so expensive, like art, right? So they'll look at a piece and I say, it's like music. So everybody has one song that transformed their life when their parent died, when their child was born, when they first fell in love, when they went through a hard time, and it helped carry them through. Music just has this direct, like, arrow to our heart and our soul. Yes. We can all there's a universality to it. We can sort of connect to it. So people do with art, visual art as well, and other creative disciplines like acting, like songwriting. We go through the same thing, but how we sort of consume it is different. So if you ask somebody about that song, so if they'll look at a piece and they'll be like, oh, it's $4,000. Ooh, that's so much, right? But when you think about how it starts to become part of your world and your life, it's the same as music. If, all these platforms were gone and the only way you could consume music was for someone to say, look, that song of yours, you can have it for the rest of your life. You can pass it to your children. You can bequeath it to whoever you want, but you have to pay $3,000 or $4,000 now. And then after that, you have the rights to it. You can play it whenever you want. You can do with it whatever. You can gift it. You just have to pay that. And you know what? When I pose that question to people, they never say, oh, if I had the money, or, oh, it's so expensive. Sure. They say, yes, I would do it.
You would do it because it brings you joy.
Because they understand that. And so it's the same kind of concept. So if people know that they're willing to do that, that it taps into that feeling of how important it is in the fabric and in the interconnectedness of our lives. Like if you have a piece of artwork, you're conversating with it all the time. If you have a song that you love, you're always in this sort of fluid conversation with it. Like that is the beauty of art.
I love it. I am so glad I asked, and I am so glad our audience has heard us. So what's your favorite color? If you had to choose one based on what you're telling me,
like
if colors come,
that's like asking me to choose my favorite
you love
child.
it all. Well, same with me. I mean,
do you know
with
what?
movies, right? You're not going to choose. But.
Yeah, it's so true. And it's not a diplomatic response. I do love many of the colors, but lately I have been really focusing on green. And I feel like a lot of hope, a lot of regeneration, a lot of this notion of like the divine feminine, Mother Earth, Gaia, all of these concepts are sort of encapsulated in the various colors of green. So I'm really deep diving into green.
I love that. So then I always throw in a fun, exciting question.
I
like
love your fun, exciting question.
Fun, exciting. Superwoman or Wonder Woman based on what you said. The divine feminine.
My gosh,
come on.
Definitely Wonder Woman. Like, I would love to be part of a tribe of Amazonian badass women who can kick your butt and still look good.
Yes, I love it. Well, obviously, we're going to make sure that our audience gets all of your hashtags, your website, link. Today we wanted to just introduce you. This is an open forum where we will always welcome you back for anything you want to promote. But this was like a day one to our audience to say, hey,
guest one,
day one. Give it up, everybody, for Stacey. We're so happy to have you. Thank you so much. Folks, that's about it on this episode. We're going to make sure, like I said, that you have all of Stacey's details. Thank you for tuning in. All of her links will be in the bottom of the bio. And until the next time, I'm LWB.